Hello, my name is Ben Price. I'm from San Antonio. It's August of 2016, and I'd like to share with you my journey on the issue of weight awareness. This is something that if you Google or go to YouTube and type in weight management or weight control or nutrition, any of those things, you'll just get a whole bunch of folks who have information to share with you. And that's what I'd like to do. I just want to share my journey. So I've got a couple of reading for some notes here so I get everything in. I have a couple of introductory points before I get started. Number one, what I'm going to say is simply my opinion on my experience and my journey. I'm actually an information technology person. I'm not a nutritionist or a medical person. One of the things I want to mention is of the bell curve, and that's the curve that kind of has a big lump in the middle and thins out on the ends. And the bell curve kind of applies to just about everything in life. So, for example, how long would you have to practice the piano to get better? If you test a bunch of people and figure out how long it takes them, you'll find out that most people, if they practice 30 minutes a day, hey, they get better. But some people get better even if they only practice 10 minutes a day, and some, if they practice 2 hours, doesn't make any difference. But if you plot all that out, you see a lump kind of in the middle, and that's where most people are. However, the point is, be cautious about believing there's some sort of one-to-one correlation to anything in life. This is, again, my opinion. The thing that I'm considering may not be the only factor affecting the outcome. For example, the thought that if I stop eating carbs, I'll lose weight. Well, you might, but it may not be the only factor. Or if I exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes, I'll lose weight. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Probably those things will. If you cut down on certain types of foods or exercise, probably will. You'll probably be in that lumpy thing, not necessarily. So be aware that the bell curve is always there. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Number 2, I would recommend you consult with your family physician if you're going to start some type of weight program or health program. Really, this is about health. It's not completely focused on weight. It's nice to maintain your target weight zone, but it's almost better just to be healthy, be a healthy individual. So if you're looking at starting some kind of program or just getting more information about that, I recommend you work with your healthcare provider, your family physician, someone who can help you along the way. In my case, the goal was to reverse my food conditioning, the way I think about food and my triggers to do things. I was thinking of Pavlov's dog, the guy who had the dog. He'd ring the bell or turn on the light, and every time he did that, he'd give the dog some dog biscuits, and pretty soon the dog would get all excited when he heard the bell or saw the light. And we can be conditioned by outside stimulus. I certainly was. When I'd see a big piece of pizza on television, I think, ooh, that looks pretty good. But also, I was able to recondition myself to feel a bit different about that. And that's the purpose of what we're talking about here, kind of reconditioning yourself to approach these things a bit differently. It's going to take a little bit of time. It took me a bit of time. And it's an ongoing thing. So every day you get up and it's an opportunity to have a successful day of feeling good about how you're approaching your health and your food and your health generally. The good news for me is once you've reconditioned yourself, it's all pretty easy. And I'll use the example of smoking. I was a smoker when I was a younger person. I'm 65 now. When I was a younger person, I was a smoker, but I quit. It was quite a few years ago. And I no longer have a desire for cigarettes. I can be around people who are smoking. It doesn't bother me. So once you kind of recondition yourself to feel differently about something, whether it's smoking or whatever, it just becomes part of you, and then it's all good. My last point here before I get started is if there's one thing that I feel is absolutely the key to this type of thing, in my case, it was awareness, being aware of what's going on. So I'm going to get started now with my key points. I have about 8 points here I want to cover. I'll go fairly quickly. Number 1, what was I eating? I kept a journal for a few weeks, and I wrote down everything I ate with the approximate time. 10 o'clock in the morning, I had toast and bananas, peanut butter, the Elvis breakfast. So I had that, and I write that down. I didn't change my eating habits during those few weeks. I just wrote everything down, and I looked at the journal, at the end of the day, and a couple days later, I go back and look what I was eating. Just tried to raise my awareness on what I was eating. Didn't change my habits, just wanted to raise my awareness. The goal was to start thinking about what I was eating. The second thing was I went to the library, I love the library, and got a book, a college textbook on nutrition. The one I have is this one here. I'm not suggesting this is any better or worse than any other book, but I would suggest an entry-level college textbook. They have lots of pictures and things in there. They're kind of an easy read. They're meant for people to get a fundamental grasp of what's going on, but yet they do kind of focus on. They break it down into categories, what's happening, and they're good. So I went to the library, got a college textbook, and I just read a little bit every day. So I just started reading about nutrition, food, and things like that. So I learned a bit about carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, the 3 macronutrients. There's also micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. It's just nice. So I started raising my awareness about food kind of in general. The book also talks about how your body handles different types of foods, the carbohydrates and the proteins and so forth. So by reading a little bit every day, like there's no rush. It's going to take me a while to get through this whole thing. I'm pretty far along, but it's great. It's kind of fun. I like reading, and it's a nice thing to do. And then as you're reading along, I think, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that sugars. There's a whole bunch of stuff about sugars, and the book will tell you about what that means. So I made a habit to read about the nutrition labels on food. I'd go to the market. I'd be looking at buying a can of beans. I'd pick up the can, and now I've made it a habit to look at the nutrition labels, and it will tell you on the back, how much sugar, how much carbohydrates are in there, how much sugar, trans fat, things like that. So I just started raising my awareness on that. I would say I try to keep it simple. Nutrition, in the book, some books talk about this. Nutrition is fundamentally a chemical process at the cellular level. It's quite complicated. So try to focus on identifying the basic food groups and their categories. I used a free computer program called Super Tracker. It's published by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. You key in what you're eating, and it'll break down what you've eaten in terms of all the nutrients. It's very nice. But yet it also has a very simple interface. And if all you're looking for is just simple, it'll do simple, and that's great. So now I had a journal on what I'm eating. I started reading to try to understand a bit better about food. What is it? How does it work? And now I wanted to start modifying my food intake. So the book and the Super Tracker program both give you guidelines on your daily intake of food. And they break it down into groups like vegetables and grains and proteins and dairy. And there's only a handful of these groups. So it might say, for example, vegetables, you should have 2 or 3 portions or 2 or 3 cups of vegetables per day. Now sometimes it'll say something like, you should have 100 grams of fruit twice a day. And I'm thinking, I'm in the United States, I'm thinking 100 grams of fruit, what is that? So I went and purchased a inexpensive little scale, and I got this somewhere or another. It was about $10. And it has some modes in it, so you can press the button and it'll tell you, how much does a banana weigh in grams. And once you do that a time or two, you'll know, oh, the banana weighs 200 grams. So initially, it's a lot of fun to kind of play with these scales and get the idea of what something weighs. Pretty soon, you'll kind of know that. So now I compared the guidelines to what I'm eating, or what the food intake says, to what was in my journal, and amazingly, there was quite a discrepancy. Every time I was getting ready to eat something, I stopped and I asked myself, what I'm preparing to eat, how does it relate to those guidelines? Am I getting a cup of fruit? Am I getting some protein? What am I doing? So I started to, again, raise my awareness. And this is also an important point is, the thought that when you're eating a potato, it's carbohydrates. Potatoes are carbohydrates. If you kind of look up what's in a potato, Yeah, it's a lot of carbohydrates, but there's also some other things in it, some proteins and lipids. As it turns out, almost every food item has some sort of distribution or a bit of all kinds of food things in it. So if you're looking at nuts, I like peanuts. I make my own trail mix, just use peanuts and raisins. Hey, it's got all kinds of sugars and proteins and fats and stuff in there. So it's not just one thing. So when you're looking at eating a particular item, it's probably going to be composed of a whole bunch of different types or categories of food things. So that's kind of a cool thing as well. And some of these computer programs will give you a little chart of what the item is and what the breakdown. A fun thing to do. So it became part of my routine, my awareness, to look at labels on food, to look up nutritional things on apples or steaks or whatever. I started researching things like glycemic index, what does that mean? So just to raise my awareness on the whole issue of food and what happens. So next item, learn to be hungry. We're kind of, I was talking earlier about being conditioned, reconditioning ourselves. We're kind of conditioned to not be hungry. If you're hungry, you want to eat. And I'm going to suggest that in my case, I had to learn that being hungry is kind of okay. So when your body's looking for food, looking for energy, it gets it from the food you eat. If it turns out that it's not getting enough energy from your food intake, it will get energy from your energy stores that are in your body. So if you're feeling a little bit hungry, that's kind of a good thing, because if you have that feeling, it means that your body will now turn to itself to get energy, and that's probably going to come from your fat stores. And I'm not talking about starvation kind of stuff here. I'm just saying that, if you're thinking, oh, it's 3 o'clock and I won't be having my evening meal until 5 or 6, I think I should probably have a Snickers bar and a Coke. In my case, I said, nope, not going to have that. I'm just going to wait till dinner and have my dinner. A little tough initially, because we're so conditioned to eating when we want and eating what we want, that learning to recondition yourself to eat a little less and to try to focus on, is that part of my guideline stuff? Bit of a challenge, but once you do it for a while, like weighing the food, once you get in the habit of weighing the food, you'll kind of know you'll be able to look at an apple and say, oh, I kind of know what that weighs. Okie dokie. Portion size. We've heard this story a lot, portion distortion. When I first started this, I would make pasta for dinner, and I'd have the pasta and the sauce. So I'd put, I live in South Texas, so I'd put chorizo and meat in the sauce. It was fantastic. And when it came time to have the pasta, I would ladle out a whole big plate full of the stuff, and it was wonderful. That was more than I needed. So by reading the book and so forth, I came to understand that I really shouldn't be having that entire amount of food. So I started cutting back. And again, it's kind of tough initially, but once you get in the habit of just putting what you're going to eat in front of you, then cutting it in half and eating that half, and saying to yourself, if I'm still hungry in an hour, I'll come back and eat the other half. That's good. Once you get in the habit of doing that, you're reconditioning yourself, and that's good. That's a good thing. So portion size, big deal. Start working on that. In my case, it came over time, worked pretty well. A last point on this food intake section is stay hydrated. I wanted to not have any consequences of cutting down on the volume of food I was eating, and my physician suggested to stay, drink water. Or, I drink coffee a lot. Drink coffee or whatever you drink coffee. Okay, next topic is exercise. I made time to be active. I mentioned earlier that my family physician said, how much exercise are you getting? I said, none. Again, I'm a technology guy, so I spend a lot of time typing at a computer. So I would start walking or just doing anything. Anything's better than nothing. So walking 30 minutes is better than sitting on the couch for 30 minutes. When I got to the point, and it didn't take me very long, to do a bit more aggressive exercise, my lovely wife and I are both members at a local gym. I go down and do some upper body exercise there, or some elliptical stuff. and that was good. I got out my bicycle out of the garage that I haven't used for a while and started riding, and now I ride, an hour every day or so on my bicycle fairly aggressively. So when I get my cardio from the bicycle, I go down to the gym, do the upper body stuff. The point again is awareness and just having that become part of your life, where you don't think, oh, I don't really want to exercise today. It just becomes part of what you do, that, oh, I go off my bike right now. So exercise, have a note here, exercise won't be your primary weight loss factor. Food intake will be how you're going to achieve your weight goals. Exercise is good. There's lots of videos on YouTube that talk about the amount of calories burned during exercise compared to your basal metabolism, your resting metabolism, and so forth. So exercise is good because it helps your heart and lungs. It makes you feel a bit better about yourself, but it's probably not going to be your primary weight loss tool. But I would recommend doing some exercise. Speak to your physician. They'll help you with that. Next item is, hey, cook at home. My wife and I weren't big, we didn't eat out a whole lot. We did tend to already cook at home, but I know lots of folks who eat the majority of their meals they eat them out. And here in South Texas, when you're eating out, you're probably going to get something that's deep fried. You could probably eat fried chicken every day and you wouldn't die, but I'm going to suggest that eating at home was something that helped us. So I just started simple meals, baked chicken or fish. We had salmon last night. That was great. With some vegetables, some carrots and broccoli. It's easy to make, tastes good. Piece of cake. So I recommend cooking at home. So that's what we did. I also started avoiding added sugars. And that's something the book talks about, starting to understand how sugars, where are they, what do they mean, how much do you need, where do you get your sugar from? Fairly involved actually, but it's kind of interesting. So I started avoiding added sugars. My wife and I no longer drink any sort of sugary drinks at all. We try to avoid prepackaged foods if we go to our local market, rather than buying the frozen burrito package. We'll make them at home, or we'll do our own stuff at home. So we try to avoid prepackaged food, frozen dinners, things like that. Snacks, we try to avoid chips and dip. Try to eat fruit. Again, it's a whole. It's about reconditioning. You got to do a little bit at a time. Which brings me to my next point. When I fell down, I got up and I tried it again. And what I mean by that is, once in a while we'll get out the bag of chips and we'll be watching a movie on television and we'll eat a bunch of chips, more than we should eat them, and there you go. So when I fall down, I just get up, try it again. I suspect we all fall down, and if there's a consistent message that you see when looking at the YouTube videos, it's that people go into a program well-intentioned, and then through life realities, that they do fall down. And it's hard to get back up and try it again. If you want to recondition yourself from awareness, get up, try it again. I started weighing myself every morning, and I found that to be a great motivator. So I get up in the morning, get on a scale, and I kept a little spreadsheet of what I weighed. And just even that, the awareness of knowing what I weighed would help. When I was getting ready to eat some food item, I'd look at it and say, is this part of what I really want to eat? And if I could, if it wasn't, I'd just put it down and go on to something else. And pretty cool that as your awareness gets higher, you just start doing things better at eating food, making better kinds of food. Pardon me. Every day is like a little battle. So when you're doing your weight stuff, be aware that it's a daily thing. So go at it like that. Go at it that today's going to be a success. I'm going to enjoy my day, do some stuff, have a good time. I'm going to go out and ride my bike when I get finished speaking with you folks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to have dinner tonight, and it's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to the day. There will be Christmas parties. There will be family events. If you have a large family around you, they're going to have things going on, picnics and parties. They're going to invite you. You're going to feel kind of awkward saying, oh, no thanks, I don't want dessert or whatever. You'll have to come to grips with that. My suggestion is, in my case, as I changed my patterns, it just got to the point where it's not an issue anymore if I go to My brother lives here in town. If I go to my brother's house, and he likes desserts, so if he's having a big piece of cake and ice cream, I'll have a little small piece of cake and a small bit of ice cream. But it's good. It's like the smoking thing I mentioned earlier. I've changed the way I think about it, and it's now become part of who I am. So my final point here is to say that we are creatures of habit, and a lot of things that we do are absolutely done. They're learned behaviors, and they're done by habit. Like the cigarette smoking example I mentioned above, I was capable of changing my habit on smoking. Some people struggle with that. Some people it's a little easier. Remember the bell curve. In my case, I'm finally able to stop smoking, and now I have no desire to smoke. The same thing can be done with food or lots of other things. So in summary, awareness is the key. So try to be aware of what you're eating. The book, the scale. Try not to be overloaded by things like YouTube, people talking about, stop eating carbohydrates or stop doing this or that. That may be part, and look to your book and your family physician to provide information around how those things work. So awareness is the key. Being consistent is the other part of that. No one is ever 100% consistent. I certainly wasn't. But when you fall down, get up and try it again. And last thing is just believe in yourself. You can do this. I kind of knew that I could do it. And so I went at it. I spoke to my family physician. I thought about what I wanted to do. I came up with my plan that I just talked about here. And it's worked quite well for me. So I'm at my desired weight range. And I intend on doing that. Plus I feel a lot better about myself as I'm exercising and so forth. So believe in yourself. Get out there and do it. And if you have any questions, anything I could expand upon or help you with, feel free to post a comment below, and I absolutely will respond. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I hope all this works out for you. It's a great adventure. I hope you all enjoy it. Bye now.